Hi guys, I'm Miss Cohoon and I am Mr. Smith's Practicum Student and I'm going to teach you guys about portraits today. But first, I have a video for you guys to watch.
Where the wild things are. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another, his mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. And grew. Until his ceiling hung with vines. And the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max. And he sailed off through night and day. And in and out of weeks. And almost over a year. To where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. And made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start!" "Now stop," Max said. And sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around, from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot.
Okay, guys, so we just watched the video of Where the Wild Things Are, and that was a story written and all the pictures were drawn by Maurice Sendak. So we're going to look at some of the wild things that he drew. Let's look at Max first. So Max has the face of a boy, but everything else looks like a wolf. He has the ears of a wolf, he has the tail of a wolf, and he even has the claws. So when he's sailing to the island, the first wild thing he comes upon kind of looks like a dragon. He has the body of a dragon. He has some human hair going on. He has some bull's horns. He even has a goatee like a goat. And he has some feathers going down his body. Then when we get to the island, we come across a creature that has a body like a lion. He even has some hair like Mona Lisa. He has a human nose, a rhino horn, and he too has some bull horns. And if you notice, both of these creatures have yellow glowing eyeballs. And then he tames them by staring deep into those yellow glowing eyes. Then we come to one of Mr. Smith's favorite characters, who has the body of sort of a cat and claws like a lion, and he has a wolf tail just like Max, and he has a hair and a beard like a human, and he has a cat's nose and some horns. Let's look at some more creatures. So we've already talked about the guy on the left. So then more to the right, we have some duck feet going on, human feet. We have one on the far right that looks sort of like a rooster with claws like a lion. We have the one in the middle that kind of has a pig's nose and the body of sort of a bear, and all different kinds of hair. The guy on the left has some really long hair that looks like a human. So then Max goes home. So since Max is going home, I think it's time that we create our own wild things. So I'm going to switch the camera around to show you guys how to draw it, and you can either draw along with me, or you can wait until I'm done with the demo and then you can draw it after. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you the materials we're going to need for today. So we're going to do our drawing on a white piece of paper, and then I'm going to use a Sharpie to draw my wild things, but you can just use a black crayon. I'm just doing this so you can see it better. And then we need some crayons. So these are the ones that I've picked out, but you can use any colors that you have available. So I'm going to walk you through some of the different things we can use to make up our creatures. So just like Sendak, we can have a bunch of different options in our wild things. So here are some examples of eyeballs. So if you draw two circles and put two little dots in it, it kind of looks surprised. And then if you draw the letter D and angle it like this, it looks angry. And then if we flatten the D out, it looks like you're saying, really? And then we can turn them again the opposite way, and they look like sad eyes. And then if we make the back of our D have sort of a stretched out N, it looks like smiling eyes, so it looks pretty happy. And then if we draw our circles with some eyelids and some little dots in there, they look pretty sleepy to me. So then our noses, if you draw a little U and then put a line at the top and then draw 2 more U's coming out at the bottom, it's like a dog's nose. And then if you draw a triangle with 2 U's, it's a cat's nose. And then if you draw a circle with 2 little dots in it, it looks like a pig's nose. And then our bird's beak is a triangle with 2 little dots at the top. And then we can have sort of a human nose, because some of our creatures definitely had that. And then some ears. We can do long floppy ears like a dog. We can have our pointed ears, sort of like a cat. We can go for smaller ones that look like a mouse. Or we can have some sort of like elephant ear. So I'm going to draw my own character, and like I said, you can draw along with me, or you can draw it after I get done drawing mine. So I'm going to grab my Sharpie, and I'm going to draw my eyeballs first. And I think I'm going to go for the angry eyes. Alright, now that I have that, I'm going to pick out one of my noses. So I think I'm going to go for the dog's nose. Alright, and then I need a face shape. So you can really choose any of the geometric shapes that we've learned about. So I think I'm just going to go for a circle today, but you can totally choose a triangle, a square, a circle, an oval, anything that you want their head to look like. Alright, so now I'm going to give him some ears, and I think I'm going to go for the mouse ears. Alright, and now he needs a body, so we don't just have a floating head in the middle of the page. And then, just to give it a little something extra, I'm going to include his claws, because most of the wild things had some pretty big paws that had some long claws. So I'm just going to do a bunch of little ends, and then I'm going to draw them down to the end of the page just like that. And then I can add the claws on there, just on the ends. Alright, and now it's time to add color. And since the wild things had those glowing yellow eyeballs, I'm going to make my eyeballs yellow as well. Then I'm just going to start coloring in my nose. And then since the wild things had a lot of fur going on, we want to try to make ours look like that. So use a bunch of different colors, and you just want to take your crayons and do short little marks all over, and then it looks like fur, and we get all that good texture that we learned about a couple weeks ago. Just switching out to a different color here, guys. Switching colors again, got my orange going.